Hey, this is Dr. Peter Swanz with Vital Force Naturopathy. I was driving into work this morning listening to Doctor's Radio on Sirius on the satellite radio, and it was the children's show, and they were talking about nutrition. They had a specialist who was the head of pediatric medicine, I forget, somewhere in Philly or something like that, and he was talking about nutrition and taking phone calls, and somebody called in and asked about cookies and snacks and little cakes and things for snacks, and I feel like this doctor completely missed the boat, completely missed an ideal opportunity to really discuss what's going on in our society and what's wrong. What he said, that it all comes down to portion sizes, and that the problem is people want to eat 5 and 6 cookies instead of a normal portion, which may be 2. And he said, if you're just having the 2 cookies and then pairing it with something like a piece of fruit, that's okay and that's a reasonable snack. And I just totally disagree. One, I think cookies, cakes, sweets, we have a big problem in our culture. We have come to expect those as part of a meal. And I think we're probably the only culture in the world that eats like that. Desserts, they're not bad, but they're not an everyday occurrence. They're not supposed to be the go-to snack. They did a study, it was a psychology of eating study, where they took a picture of a chocolate cake and they showed it to all the people in America, and people associated words like fattening, my diet, I'm bad. They took the same picture of a beautiful, piece of chocolate cake, they showed it to people in Europe, and they said things like family, a celebration, a party. Right? That's very strange. That's the same food and 2 very different emotional relationships to the food. And I think, we unfortunately send kids down this road by making sweets, making desserts become part of every meal, of every occurrence. One thing that I do with my patients is I say, what? Strive for 2 days a week. Desserts are something you do twice a week. You do it with the family. It's known that that's the expectation, that after dinner on Saturday night and maybe dinner on Wednesday night, halfway through the week, we'll have desserts and we'll do something good. It's not going to be some processed junk food cookies bought in the store. It'll be something that we actually put time in, made together, shared, and then sat down and enjoyed together. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just something we do on a special occasion. That creates a very different relationship with the food. Saying that the cookies and the sweet snacks are okay if we're using reasonable portions and then serving them with fruit is completely off the mark, because now what we're doing is we're concentrating sugars. We're saying that those sweets, things like that, are an everyday food, and we're really causing a major spike in insulin, which is what down the road is going to lead to obesity, chronic inflammation, the chronic illnesses that are killing people in our society. So I'm still a little bit worked up about this. The other thing that really sent me over the edge was then they said, well, one of the other docs on the show said, well, maybe you pair the fruit up with some peanut butter. And the guy got really quick, jumped and said, oh, well, you got to make sure you measure out the peanut butter because that's a fat. And I totally disagree. The peanut butter is the number one, the best thing that they mentioned as a snack. Calories aren't the big thing to be concerned about. Fats don't cause a huge spike in blood sugar. We don't get the resulting spike in insulin. We're not as apt to store foods that are higher in fats as fat in our body. It's a homonym, right? It's the same word being used to describe 2 different things. And I mentioned last week the study where they took 3 groups eating the same caloric intake. One group 90% from fats, one group 90% from proteins, one group 90% from carbs. So that's going to be equivalent to the grains and the sugars, the cookies, the fruits. The fats and the protein group both lost weight, while the fruit, the sugar, the carb group gained weight. So a calorie is not a calorie, right? So saying that we need to cut back on the fats or the peanut butter on the apple, to me, is completely missing the boat. I tell all of my patients, the key for snacks is making sure protein is a component. If you're going to do an apple, you have to have almond butter, peanut butter, some cheese with it. If you're going to have a banana and almond butter is a great snack. I really like bean sprigs, getting some good fiber, mixed up with some celery or some carrots, something to dip it in. That's the ticket. That's how we keep blood sugar stable. And by pulling the desserts out of the snack food realm, out of that after school treat for our kids, we're able to start shifting the way we we as parents and children think about desserts and foods and recognize that it's more about family, it's more about that connection, and make it a less than everyday occurrence. I think that's the move in the right direction, and I'm disappointed that that still conventional medicine is really putting out their ideas that are leading to the demise of our society from a nutritional standpoint. Hopefully we can change that together. So this is Dr. Swanz, Dr. Peter Swanz. You can follow me on Twitter at ZenDoctor or Vital Force NTRL, Vital Force Natural NTRL on Twitter. And you can also follow me on Facebook at DRSWANZ. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you all have a great, healthy week. And don't be afraid to eat some healthy protein and fat-based snacks. All right, take care.